Jonathan came home from the night shift just as the sun was crawling up over the rooftops of Chicago's South Side. His back ached, his eyes burned, and his hands were still sore from hauling boxes for hours. All he wanted was to collapse into bed for a few stolen hours of rest. But when he opened the door to his small apartment, something felt different. The silence was heavy, too heavy. He stepped into the bedroom, and on the bed lay a single sheet of paper. Just a few short lines written in a hurried, almost trembling hand. "I can't do this. Take care of them. Goodbye." For a moment, Jonathan couldn't breathe. His eyes darted to the crib, 5 tiny bundles, swaddled and sleeping. 5 baby girls. His girls. They were just a few weeks old. And now, it was only him. That morning, at just 27 years old, Jonathan became a single father to quintuplets. The weight of 5 cribs. He had never changed a diaper in his life. He didn't know how to prepare a bottle, how to burp a baby, how to soothe colic, or even how often newborns were supposed to sleep. The truth was, Jonathan knew as much about childcare as he did about rocket science, almost nothing. But when he looked at those 5 faces, with their tiny fists curled up, their breaths so soft you could barely hear them, he made a vow. They will never know what it means to be abandoned. Neighbors whispered. They watched him carry bags of formula and packs of diapers through the narrow hallway and shook their heads. He won't last. No one could. Relatives tried to talk sense into him. "John, be reasonable. There are orphanages, foster homes, families who could." He cut them off every time. "No, they're mine. I'll raise them. Even if it kills me." And in a way, it almost did. Sleepless months. The first months were chaos. Nights blurred into days, and days into nights. At any given moment, at least one baby was crying, sometimes 2, sometimes all 5. Bottles needed to be washed, diapers changed, feverish foreheads cooled with damp cloths. Jonathan barely slept. An hour here, 40 minutes there. He set alarms to wake himself before the girls did, just so he could line up bottles on the counter in advance, ready for the next round. He lost his job at the factory. He simply couldn't keep up with shifts when his nights were spent rocking infants. Friends drifted away. Who wanted to hang out with a man buried in bottles and baby clothes? But Jonathan clung to his promise. To keep food on the table, he mowed lawns, scrubbed windows, hauled trash, delivered packages, anything that paid enough for formula and rent. His hands grew calloused, his body thin. But when he came home to 5 little faces lighting up, it was enough. 5 little personalities. As the years passed, the girls grew, each one carving out her own place in the world. Lydia, the oldest by just a minute, quickly became the leader of their games, the self-appointed general of every make-believe adventure. Larissa had a gift for comfort. If a sister cried, Larissa's quiet presence could calm her in moments. Elizabeth was the clown, always making the others laugh, pulling silly faces or inventing wild stories. Alina had sharp eyes and a sharper mind. She noticed everything. When Dad seemed extra tired, when someone tried to hide a scraped knee, when something was wrong. Lily, the youngest, was pure sunshine. Her laughter filled rooms, and her hugs were the kind you never wanted to let go of. Jonathan would sometimes just sit and watch them play, a smile tugging at his lips. Despite the hardship, they were thriving. Healthy. Happy. Loved. The man who wouldn't surrender. Word spread. The neighborhood came to know him as the father of 5 who never gave up. Local newspapers wrote small pieces about him. Strangers on the street would nod in admiration. But behind the headlines was a man who still carried a secret burden. The girls grew up with bedtime stories about their mother, Anna. Jonathan painted her as kind, gentle, and full of love, someone who had to go away, but who cared deeply for them. He wanted them to have at least that, a warm picture in their minds. But the truth was more complicated. The letter. 18 years later, the girls celebrated their coming of age. The house was filled with laughter, with college brochures scattered on the kitchen table, with music blaring from their shared playlists. Then came an envelope. No return address, no signature. Inside, one line. They deserve to know the truth. Jonathan felt his chest tighten. For years, he had hidden it. But now, he could no longer stay silent. Gathering the girls in the living room, he told them what he had concealed all this time. "Your mother didn't leave because she was weak," he said slowly, fighting back tears. "She left because she was very, very sick. After giving birth, she suffered from something called postpartum psychosis. She wasn't safe around you, not because she didn't love you, but because her mind was unwell. The doctors, they thought it was the only way." The girls sat in stunned silence. The image they had held of their mother shifted, fractured, and yet became strangely fuller. She wasn't just a ghostly absence, she was a human being who had suffered. Anna returns. Weeks later, a woman knocked on their door. Gray streaked her hair, her hands trembled, and her eyes carried decades of sorrow. "I'm Anna," she whispered. It was their mother. After years of treatment, she had stabilized. Now she wanted to meet her daughters, cautiously, slowly. The girls agreed, each in her own time. The road to reconciliation was fragile, but it had begun. Blood and love. Not long after, life threw another shock. Doctors discovered that Lily carried a rare genetic marker, prompting further tests. The results stunned Jonathan. Biologically, he was not the father. Back in the early years of their marriage, when they had struggled with infertility, Anna had quietly undergone a procedure using donor sperm. She had never told him. The revelation could have shattered many men. But Jonathan only smiled through tears. "I may not be your father by blood," he told the girls, "but I am your father by choice, by love, and that means more than anything." And the girls believed him, because every sleepless night, every scraped knee, every word of encouragement had already proved it. The lost child. Then, as if their story hadn't held enough twists, Anna revealed one last secret. In the chaos of the birth back in 1994, there had been not 5 babies, but 6. One little girl had been mistakenly documented as stillborn and placed for adoption. Her name was Sophia. The revelation shook the family to its core. But Jonathan and the sisters refused to let it end as tragedy. They began searching through records, through agencies, through every lead they could find. And one day, after years of searching, they found her. When the 6 sisters finally embraced for the first time, the circle felt complete. Jonathan, standing in the middle of that tearful reunion, knew the picture was whole at last. 6 hearts, 1 father. Years passed. The story spread first through local papers, then national ones. Eventually, it became a book and then a television series, 6 Hearts and 1 Father. People were moved not just by the hardships, but by the love that carried them through. Jonathan became a symbol of resilience, of fatherhood defined not by biology, but by devotion. In his old photo album, worn and faded, one picture stood out, all 6 daughters gathered around him, smiles wide, arms linked. On the back, written in Jonathan's careful hand, were 4 words. "Now we are whole." Closing. And that, my friends, is their extraordinary story. A story of loss and struggle, but also of perseverance, forgiveness, and above all, love. If this tale touched your heart, don't forget to share it with someone who needs a reminder. Family isn't just about blood. It's about the choices we make, the promises we keep, and the love we give. Because sometimes, one father's love really can hold 6 hearts together.